So hello everyone and welcome. My name is Sharon Bonney, the CEO for the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. And I'm here with Amanda Alstrand with Impact and Michelle Carson with Softful Partners. And it's really exciting to talk with you today about this increasing integrated education and training opportunities for adults. Amanda, can you please tell us a bit about the project that you're here representing today?
Sure, thank you, Sharon, and good morning, everyone. We're so excited to be here this week. It's a big week for adult education. We're glad to share information about this technical assistance project that we have going on with support from OCTAE at the U.S. Department of Education. As I think you know and probably heard from the Assistant Secretary, OCTAE has a goal to expand the number and quality of IET programs across the country in support of the administration's overarching plan to grow the economy and meet employers' demand for qualified skilled workers. Impact International is working closely with Softful Partners, represented here today by Michelle, and our other partner, Mayor and Mayor, to staff this project through the summer of 2022. We just started our pilot last week, and once we complete the pilot learning series, we will roll out virtual training to local adult education providers to help plan and develop IET programs. We're also going to support state capacity building with a Train the Trainer guide, and then end the project with a capstone meeting where we bring people together to help OCTAE think about program and policy needs that they may be able to address in the future around IET opportunities. So I think it's exciting to talk about IET today because this strategy, as you know, integrates adult education and literacy, workforce preparation, and workforce training to align curriculum to standards and connect to career pathways to help adults enter opportunities that help them grow and thrive in their families and communities. So we're really excited to be here, and thanks so much for hosting us, Sharon.
Wonderful, thank you for that explanation. So do you feel you sort of covered the pilot training that you're in the midst of right now, or would you like to say a little bit more about that?
Sure, I'll say a little bit more. So I mentioned we started last week, and we'll be meeting with representatives from 5 state teams throughout the fall. They are teams of folks that represent both the state and local level in these 5 states. And right now we're hosting a series of virtual learning opportunities that are designed to create a lot of exchange across those teams and to share information that we've put together through an IET Toolkit. This toolkit goes through the process of developing an IET program. So we have a series of learning opportunities this month, and then we'll have a series of conversations that dig a little bit deeper into each of 4 phases that we've identified as the IET development process. So maybe I can spend a minute talking about what that looks like. As we set out to design this technical assistance, we looked to practitioners and subject matter experts to inform how we would set up the toolkit, essentially. We heard from individual conversations as well as a convening that OCTAE hosted last January about the steps that people take to put an IET in place. So we talk a fair amount about these 4 phases. They begin with identifying an IET opportunity that meets community needs. We have a section of the resources that focuses on the assessment of regional workforce development needs as well as the adult learner needs. And a review of training providers in an area and what the demands are for different occupations and where there are growth opportunities. The next phase that we focus on is the design and plan phase, where this is essentially the creation of the IET program. There's a focus on how to integrate curriculum and what types of adaptations you might need to make for your learners across the core components of an IET. Then we move to the development and implement phase, where people are building their instructional design and training materials and launching the IET. And finally, we talk about the evaluate and improve phase, where while this happens throughout the IET program, we focus in on opportunities for looking at the data that you have and how it might inform your program delivery while you go, but also over the longer term. So that's kind of an overview of how we set up the technical assistance and what we're piloting right now.
Excellent, that's very helpful. Michelle, can you share some insights from the pilot programs that you've been working on?
Sure. As we listened to practitioners, they talked a lot about their IET program design work, and three things stood out to us, and we used those as guiding principles for designing a quality IET program, and have subsequently woven them into the technical assistance that we're providing. The first is how important it is to design with the learner and the community needs in mind. So putting those needs at the center of the program selection and the design work do help to ensure that the programs are relevant, they're effective, and most importantly, successful in helping learners advance in their careers and education. And it doesn't hurt to have a designer's mindset of creativity, being adaptable, and a mind and eye toward innovation. The second is collaboration with partners. The work of integrating education and training and supporting learner successful transition into work or education can't be done by adult educators alone. You do need collaborative education and workforce development partners. And then the third is adopting an approach of continuous improvement that Amanda referenced a little earlier, which is critical as employer and learner needs are continually shifting. We've seen that a lot this year already. Those shifts result in a need for new evidence-based approaches and programs. IET programs are currently using available program data to test these new approaches, capture the lessons learned, and then build on those successful things, the things that they find successful, to support continuous improvement and adapt to the changing needs. So through the pilot, we can tell you that there seems to be a lot of activity and interest in IET programs. People have IETs underway in different phases and stages in development and in planning. And they have been super willing to share and have also been very hungry for new ideas. Additionally, the focus on ensuring that IETs are developed along a career pathway has also been evident. And we're working closely to make sure, and working closely to align with industry recognized credentials has come through as well. And then finally, pilot participants have talked a lot about the value of partnerships and being successful in this work, drawing from the expertise of others, but also putting themselves in the position to activate a partnership when it's needed. They've said things like, when it comes time to put it on paper, it's already too late. You really need to have those relationships established a lot earlier. So laying those foundations of trust with training providers, organizations that provide supportive services, and employers. It's a lot about being out in communities as adult education leaders and making those connections. That's in a nutshell what we've heard so far.
Wow, it's a lot there.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned some of the core components of what makes an IET an IET. Could you talk a bit more about that as well?
I think we can say what the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act of 2014 says, and what was subsequently codified in the definition of an IET as a three-part strategy that balances attention to adult education and literacy, workforce preparation, and workforce training. Those three components have to be proportionally balanced and to have that integrated set of outcomes. So in other words, an IET program is intentionally designed and delivered. WIOA does require that the services be provided concurrently and contextually, meaning that the adult education and literacy activities, workforce prep activities, and the workforce training activities are all of sufficient intensity and quality, and they're based on evidence-based or the most rigorous research available, especially in respect to improving reading, writing, math, and English proficiency. And then it simultaneously occurs within the overall scope of the IET program, and then to make sure that you're using occupationally relevant instructional materials. This alignment integration is organized through a single set of learning objectives, and this is one thing that we're learning. It's a fairly new concept to the field that identifies aligning specific adult education content standards, workforce prep skills, and workforce training competencies. We never want to lose sight of the why of IET. These programs are so powerful because they accelerate learners' educational and career advancement opportunities. To help ensure that they do that, the WIOA regulations say that the adult education component must align with the state's content standards for adult education, and that the IET be part of an established career pathway in the state.
Great. Thank you for all of that.
Sure.
Yes. Amanda, have the pilot participants shared any innovations that they're working through?
Sure. So there have been a handful. I know there are lots more to share as we go through the fall, but some things that strike us as we hear from the participants was a real focus on apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship as a great opportunity to provide that earn while you learn chance. So people are really digging into that. We have had a little bit of discussion too, given our virtual environment, we're all working on some of the things that people have done to shift their activities to meet their learner needs in a virtual environment. We've heard a little bit about navigators that help IET participants with the technology they might be facing, they haven't used before in a classroom setting, that help them see the full course of an IET, so they see how the individual courses build together along that career pathway, but also toward the goals that they're trying to reach. There have been some sharing about either accessing existing or new grant resources to provide laptops directly to participants, or to create like a laptop library for people to check them in and out. There's been some shifting to more outdoor and public spaces for classes, which is exciting, at least while it's still warm enough to do that, and those types of things. So there has been a lot of creativity that people are, putting in place to adjust their plans accordingly. There's also been some discussion around how things are changing with enrolling students and recruiting them into the programs, and using some new technology or existing technology to just, meet via FaceTime or WhatsApp to kind of help people understand what the opportunities are as they consider enrolling in a new program. So that's been exciting to hear.
Excellent. Yes, it sounds exciting. I'm wondering too if you can share any particular areas that you feel need a little bit more focus. And I think this one's for Michelle.
Sure. Again, with the conversations that are happening, we're seeing there's a real need to understand or focus on the integration of technical skills training with the basic education and workforce preparation components, and really the nuts and bolts of how that works and how you design a curriculum to do those things effectively. We also anticipate to that end, focusing a fair amount of time and resources on the importance of the single set of learning objectives that describe the programmatic objectives across the IET program that are aligned with the integrated unit level of learning objectives. So really, again, creating opportunities within the technical assistance for program designers and the adult education instructors to plan what that looks like in practice and giving them time to practice that.
That sounds good. And then could you share a bit more specifically about the resources that will become available more broadly, Amanda?
Sure. So starting in 2021, we will be making available the IET Toolkit that I mentioned. It will live online and have resources, both links to outside resources as well as a set of desk aids associated with the toolkit. The training that we're piloting now will also be available in some format starting in 2021, more broadly to all states. So we are learning from our pilot participants about what works, what topics people need the most assistance with, or have the most ideas around, and how we might roll it out differently for all states starting in 2021. And then I mentioned the Train the Trainer guide that we'll produce as well. We will definitely make all of these available through links and have, you know, resources accessible to the adult education community very broadly. I can't get too much more specific as we're in the pilot phase, and I know 2021 is still a few months out, but that's what it's looking like so far, and we're grateful to kind of give you a preview of the resources.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I think as we get ready to close out here, are there any parting updates or things you feel we haven't covered, Amanda?
I'm not sure. I'm looking at the chat here. We did have a question about which states are piloting, and I'm happy to share that. It's Arizona, Idaho, Indiana, Tennessee, and Virginia. So we're very grateful for the time they're giving us and the feedback they're giving us. I think otherwise we would just say, you know, please stay tuned. Keep doing the great work that you're already doing around IETs. And we look forward to hearing from you and working with you in 2021. You know, keep sharing and finding opportunities to share ideas and information with one another.
Great. Well, thank you. I know we talked about doing a 15 to 20-minute session here, so this works out perfectly. We know everybody's really busy today, but we want to thank you, Amanda and Michelle, for making time to give this brief update for the field. We want to thank everybody who took the time to join us during Adult Ed and Family Literacy Week. We just also want to mention that today at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will be honoring Governor Ducey for his wonderful funding and support of adult education. As well, tomorrow at 11, we have an adult education and workforce panel where we'll have wonderful presentations by leaders in the education and workforce spectrum. So hopefully, if you've not seen that, you can go to our website at coabe.org, check at the scheduled events, and it's right there, and you can sign up for that as well. And I'm looking to see if there's any additional questions. It looks like there are not. So without further ado, I want to thank you, Amanda and Michelle, and thank everybody here who took the time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Sharon. Bye.
Have a great week.
Thank you,
You too.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.